There are at least 89 features that used to be in Madden titles and are now gone. There are countless features found in older football video games like ESPN NFL 2K5 that have not found their way to recent Maddens either, despite being from 2004. Madden 21 also compares poorly to other AAA sports titles such as NBA 2K21. On top of all of that, here are all of the things that happen in the NFL, yet don't happen in Madden, the exclusive and only simulation NFL video game. Clearly, Madden 21, and any Madden released over the last decade, is incredibly shallow and has less content than games ran on the PS2. For some people, that's shocking, but for others, this doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, it's a football game, and if Madden has great gameplay, maybe we'd forgive EA for lacking substance.
EA Sports. Go f*** yourself.
Even if Madden had all of the content I just listed, the game would still be bad, because the gameplay is terrible. Remember, EA markets this game as a simulation football game, despite the fact that the game is very arcadey and unrealistic. If you prefer an arcade-style football game, that's fine, but we should all be able to agree that EA should drop their exclusive simulation license if they aren't going to make a simulation game. While it has that license, it should be held to a simulation standard. Now, I know a lot of people will say, this is just a video game. They can only make it so realistic. And my answer to that is always the same. It's been done before, better on worse hardware. All Pro Football 2K8, and I have a video on this game by the way, is in my opinion the golden standard for a football video game's gameplay. It's from 2007, released on the Xbox 360 and PS3, yet is miles ahead of Madden 21 on PS5 in terms of realism. Madden 21, as the only simulation game on the market, should at the very least match what's been done in 2007 by 2K. Instead, Madden gets bodied. In Madden, actual football concepts rarely work. Here's an easy example: throwing a pass over a defense. This can't happen in Madden. In Madden, due to poorly programmed ball trajectory, the ball is always thrown too low, even if you high point or lob the pass. And it often gets intercepted despite the receiver beating his man, which should be impossible. 2K8 and even 2K5 did this right, games from 2007 and 2004. Then there's physics. In real life, a quarterback doesn't drop back 30 steps only to throw a dime. In 2K8, if you attempted that, you would throw a terribly underthrown wobbly pass. Now, I understand that some players prefer the ability to drop back the entire field rather than having a realistic playing game, but again, this game is advertised as the only simulation NFL game, and it should be held to that standard as long as that is true. Physics-based tackling has been done before, again, on worse hardware. Here are some clips of Backbreaker, a football game featuring the Euphoria engine. Notice how no two tackles are the same and everything looks so natural and organic. Compare that to Madden 21 and the Frostbite engine, and look how every tackle is the same animation. In Madden, if you start to get tackled, based on how the animation looks, you can recognize that it's the same old animation as always, and you know breaking the tackle will be impossible, and you have absolutely no user control. When you start to see the beginning of a fumble animation, there is nothing you can do. You are going to fumble. Often these animations will force themselves to play out, resulting in super awkward situations, like here where a quarterback pitches the ball to a running back, but because the game has to force the unnatural sack animation, the ball goes back into the quarterback's hands. Basically, come anywhere near a defender and the play is over. Unless you use stick skills to unrealistically swerve past every defender, which is incredibly arcadey and unrealistic, and don't even get me started on air trucking, you are basically watching the same outcomes over and over with very little actual user control. Receivers will catch easy passes, only for that annoying knockout animation to trigger, where you hear that cheesy punch sound and the ball gets knocked out. It doesn't matter how good or bad or tall your receiver is, Or the cornerback. When that animation is triggered, that ball is coming out and the pass is incomplete. This is the animation problem. 180-pound corners will knock 250-pound running backs down instantly with a well-timed hit stick, which will trigger the exact same animation you'll see over and over again. Weight and momentum mean nothing. Linebackers with a 70 overall rating will make Odell Beckham one-handed catches multiple times in one game. Do you have a receiver in a favorable one-on-one matchup? Throw it up and watch the pass get intercepted 75% of the time. See a wide open receiver? Watch as the pass is thrown perfectly to a defender 15 yards away. This is scripting. See an open hole to run through? Watch as you lose control of your player and he gets sucked into a defender because a tackle animation got triggered. Swerving your stick to avoid all contact or timing hit sticks is more important than player ratings or picking a good offensive play to counter the defense. Why do you think the Madden champion last year won the tournament with a punter at quarterback? Of course, this is all because Madden is now tailored to be an online skill-based competitive game, which creates a much less realistic representation of football. But again, EA markets their game as simulation and won't let any other company make a simulation NFL game, so that can and that will be criticized. Basically what I'm getting at is that EA has made gameplay a slave to Ultimate Team because that's where the money and the microtransactions are at. The game mode has single-handedly ruined Madden's gameplay and also caused the depth problem. Why were all those features I mentioned in the previous section removed or not in Madden 21? It's because EA can get by neglecting the rest of the game when Ultimate Team microtransactions make them more money than ever before. The funny thing is, EA doesn't even really update Ultimate Team that much either. The game mode's model works so well, they don't really have to do anything. With no competition, there is zero incentive for EA to actually make a good game. This is why the NFL needs to drop EA's exclusive simulation license. This is why I started the hashtag NFLDropEA. But wait, there's more. Blocking AI is awful. Linemen will not block downfield and will simply watch as a defender runs past them. Blocked kicks are scripted and determined before the snap, unlike in 2K8, when players would beat blocks down the middle and ratings again actually mattered. Realistic gameplay, again, has been done before. Players will fumble the football, only to get stuck in an angry animation and not even attempt to pick up the ball. You can literally have the football sitting on top of a player's chest and he won't even use his hands to grab it. Look at this montage of gameplay from All Pro Football 2K8. Notice the fluidity of player movement, how receivers track the ball in the air, how the pocket forms, how the linemen block. Look at this comparison between quarterback dropbacks in Madden and in 2K8. Look at this comparison between throwing mechanics in Madden and in 2K8. Madden looks nothing like the real NFL, it just looks so off. From the way players run, to how player models look, it just reeks of a low quality product considering the fact that 2K did it better in 2007 on a PS3. X Factors are a cheap way of making good players unrealistically overpowered, like Patrick Mahomes and the Bazooka X Factor. After completing a certain number of passes, Mahomes can now throw an extra 20 yards. What? Players like Lamar Jackson have X Factor abilities that make them unable to fumble. What? EA takes the easy, lazy, and incredibly unrealistic route by making the top NFL players cheesy instead of accurate to their attributes. Realistic gameplay is possible because it's been done before on worse hardware. EA has no excuse to at least match that, but they never will because they instead tailor the game towards its online competitive scene where every player is meant to be a 99 so ratings don't have to matter, and it's all about stick skills. Is it not infuriating that EA sits on the simulation NFL license so no other company can make a simulation NFL game, and then EA makes an arcade NFL game? There is literally no simulation NFL game available, and as long as EA holds that license, there never will be. People who want a simulation game are either forced to continue playing old games like 2K5 or 2K8, or they buy Madden and have a bad time. It's messed up. Not only is Madden's gameplay awful in principle, but the game is so glitchy and buggy that it makes the final product look that much worse. Beyond gameplay bugs, trade logic is terrible, as real NFL trades cannot be completed. Sometimes your team might lose despite holding your opponent to 0 points. The game will tell you that you never won a championship despite winning 5. Players will have rainbow socks on the sidelines. Speaking of sidelines, slightly unrelated, but here are sidelines in 2K8 and here are sidelines in Madden. Again, a 13-year difference. Another annoyance is that drafted players will have one face for their avatar, but the actual player model has a completely different face. Attention to detail is not EA's strong suit. But does EA even have a strong suit? Here is a montage I created of Madden bugs and glitches. The internet is filled with these, as the game is an unstable mess of code. Enjoy! It's crazy, isn't it? EA is one of the richest companies in the entire world. The NFL is their most premium licensing partner, and this is the game they put out year after year. It's pathetic. They 100% have the capital and resources to fix these issues, but instead we see the same bugs every year for over a decade, because EA would rather put extra revenue into the pockets of their executives rather than reinvesting it into their own game. Your $60 each year does not help improve the game, but instead gives EA more of an incentive to do nothing. Remember that next year. Set a reminder to watch this video next August so you don't fall for the hype. Speaking of the hype, so you're probably wondering how such a terrible game is so popular, how it continues to sell so well every year despite being such a buggy mess, removing so many features, and having such terrible gameplay. The answer to that is marketing. EA loves to trick people into buying the game. They might release a statement that this year is the year they focus on franchise mode, only to add next to nothing to it. They might advertise a new game mode like The Yard, which looks like a modern NFL street to get people excited, only to find that the game mode is incredibly glitchy and shallow with no real incentive to play. They did the same thing with FIFA. Maybe they throw a new game mode in called Superstar KO instead of fixing the game's core issues, only to never touch that game mode again. EA does this thing where instead of fixing the game and bringing it up to par to get sales, they instead create a flashy back-of-the-box feature to get casual sports fans excited. These features are nearly always underwhelming and disappear a few years later. Just look at Longshot. When Madden is the same awful game every year, they have to advertise something new to keep people buying. And then there's the closed beta. This beta is not for user feedback, it's for marketing. Why else is it closed? Every year EA says we are giving away beta codes, retweet for a code, and all the kids retweet it for a chance to play some of the new Madden game for free early. All the retweets and requests for beta codes get Madden trending online and build hype for the new game. Then when the beta is inevitably trash, you'll constantly see Madden streamers and game changers brushing off criticism and bugs with, "It's just a beta," only for the exact same issues to be present in the final game. EA also uses player rating reveals to market the game. Each year they go around revealing the ratings of the best NFL players, which always get a huge reaction. People go online and beg for their favorite players to get an increase in stats, and all the attention helps EA ramp up hype for the release of their new Madden. I never understood why people care about the ratings, because EA doesn't care or even touch any of the game modes that actually use these ratings. And after every week of the NFL season, the ratings are updated. So these ratings they announce are literally only for preseason. Ultimate Team has its own completely different rating system, and at the end of the year, Everyone playing has rosters of 99 overall players anyway. Speaking of Ultimate Team, that's another reason EA's sales numbers are higher than ever. Your team you build on Ultimate Team does not carry over, and when you buy the new Madden, you usually need to start fresh. For competitive players, they have to pre-order the new Madden early, and they usually buy the $100 version of the game so that they get all those extra packs and bonuses to get ahead of everyone else. Ultimate Team is pay to win, and you are at a disadvantage if you aren't spending real money on packs. All this in a game that starts at $60. This is how EA continues to make more revenue than ever before. Then there are the reviews. Every year Madden games get mostly positive critic reviews despite being completely destroyed by user scores. Critics, who are either getting paid off or have no place reviewing a sports game, give the game the same copy-paste step in the right direction review every year and fail to acknowledge all the points I've made in this video so far. Then you have the Madden Game Changers, who are basically EA's pawns. They get access to the game before anyone else, allowing them to make content around the game early and get all those views and all that ad revenue. And they get flown down to EA to meet with the developers and get hundreds of excuses beat into their heads about why the game isn't as good as it should be. In return, they are promoting Madden by giving away beta and game codes, and spend most of their time defending the game on Twitter. Now let me be clear, not all game changers are like this, so don't go and attack anyone because they probably don't deserve it. But many game changers are part of the problem. Some game changers get dropped when they are too critical of the game, just ask not the expert. I've noticed that recently most game changers have actually started getting more critical of Madden. However, many of them will delete their critical tweets or videos a few hours later, and then start defending the game after a month once they've accepted it for how it is and fallen for all the excuses given by the Madden team at EA. It seems like most game changers will criticize Madden and act like they agree with you only after the game has been out for a while and bashing it becomes popular. Around launch time, very few game changers will actually be openly critical of the game, and because these people have large followings who trust them, many of their fans will go and purchase the game only to be disappointed. Then there are the Madden streamers and content creators who aren't even game changers, people who make a living streaming Madden gameplay or pack openings. These guys literally have to defend the game and go against the grain of criticism because it's in their best interest to. If no one liked the game, they wouldn't have an audience. They have bills to pay. I don't blame these guys too much because I know how stressful it can be to create content and keep an audience around, but they are part of the problem and can be criticized for it, regardless of the reasons why they do it. I've noticed a lot of this throughout my time on YouTube. When I'm critical of Madden on Twitter, streamers who previously DM me that they support me in what I'm doing will block or unfollow me. Whenever someone leaves a condescending or contrarian reply to one of my criticisms, when I click on their profile it almost always says Much Streamer in their bio. When I got the two hashtags trending, these were the ones making fun of the tags or trying to act like they had no impact and were a waste of everyone's time and an annoyance on their timeline. They have a mindset of, let's do absolutely nothing about the current state of the game and put anyone trying to put up a fight down. It's not a coincidence. It also seems like most content creators who focus on competitive or MUT videos are incredibly ignorant to the flaws surrounding the rest of the game and will defend gameplay because it caters to them, while ignoring all the issues surrounding it in the other game modes such as franchise mode or career mode. I think Madden turning into a competitive online game is one of the largest reasons for its fall in quality, and these content creators are byproducts of that. These dudes will go on Twitter and claim that franchise mode is fine, despite the fact that they haven't personally touched the mode in years and don't have the faintest idea of what it was like on the PS2 era. All of these forces come together to market Madden and help the game hit record sales numbers every year, despite the game constantly regressing. There is, however, one more factor at play. Game changers and streamers make sense. Streamers need Madden to be liked in order to get views, and game changers need to be relatively positive in order to remain game changers. But this next group has absolutely no reason to defend the game, but does anyway. Let's take a look at the Madden subreddit. See this mod here, this guy with the numbers in his name? He banned me from the Madden subreddit permanently. Why? Because I pointed out that he was removing every post related to NFL Drop EA and End Madden Monopoly. He has banned hundreds of people simply for discussing legit issues with the game. He removes any post calling him out before the subreddit can see it. Does he work for EA? No. Does he get paid by EA? No. Instead, he is what I like to call a Madden Simp. When viewing his profile, you can find his comment asking to be a mod for the subreddit. He said he is a big Madden fan and loves playing Ultimate Team. That's it. But this guy spends hours every day deleting criticism over a game that doesn't know he exists and doesn't care that he exists. He is unfortunately one of many examples of this. Operation Sports Forums also has mods that love to defend Madden and put anyone criticizing the game down. There really isn't a community online where you can freely discuss your issues with the game. You can use my subreddit r/SOFTDRINKTV if you want. I won't remove your critical posts there. This goes way beyond weird moderators of forums. Twitter is full of people who have to defend Madden at all costs. People who are paid nothing will spend every hour of their day simping over a poorly made video game. It's insane. Now look at Metacritic. The game is getting blasted, rightfully so, by players unhappy with the current state of the game. Now look at the positive reviews. People spent their time trying to defend the game, but look, oh yes, there it is. They don't play franchise mode, they play Ultimate Team. The only thing I can think of that explains these people is Stockholm Syndrome. Ultimate Team fanatics spend a lot of money gambling in Madden. It's addicting because EA designed it to be addicting. When you spend thousands of dollars on something, do you really want people to say that it was a waste of money? These people have to defend Madden, or else they would have to face the realization that they are being played. In a sense, you can understand their perspective, and I would try to place my anger towards EA instead of them. That said, these people are extremely annoying, ruin every single online forum related to the game. If you think you may be a Madden simp after getting this far in the video, it is never too late to change back into being a normal person. I will welcome you. If you've watched the entire video up to this point, you either hate Madden or you are in complete denial. Is it really worth buying Madden if you're going to quit the game in 2 weeks and spend the majority of that time complaining about it? Is it really worth buying a game that is worse than a decade-old version that costs quarters at GameStop? You do realize you can update the rosters for NFL 2K5 if that's what you care about. If you're an online competitive Madden player, why? There are so many more options out there for competitive video games that will not only cost a lot less, but will actually be fun, fair, and have a legit skill gap. Madden is a scam, and people need to stop falling for it. If you enjoyed this video, I highly encourage you to subscribe to my channel where I talk about all kinds of sports video games, and sometimes even create videos unrelated to sports games. Of course, the Madden Simps will be commenting, "All you do is hate Madden, try something new for once," despite the fact that I have a vast variety of content as seen here. But hey, they're Madden Simps, and that's pretty cringe. Thanks for watching.
You